Hey everyone. Well, I have a little project going on here at home. As some of you don't know, I'm home recovering from rotator cuff surgery on my left arm this time around, and I'm incredibly bored. So I'm doing some very small projects to try and move things forward here on the car. One of the things is getting some nice looking electrical components that go in the engine compartment. Our original horn relays and starter relays, the coating flakes off, it rusts up, it looks horrible. And in the past, I've just sanded them down and taped them off so the electricals don't get painted, and just give them a coat of paint. And you can still do that if you want. It's you can use black, which is what I've done. There's other coatings like Tank Tone from Eastwood, gives a nice kind of a silvery look. Not quite right, so I'm going to go a little different route. First step is I'm going to use a little electrolysis method to remove the rust. Once that's done, I'm going to clean them up, and then I'm going to plate them. Little electrolysis, little probably copper plate first, and then I'm going to do a nickel plate, and try and get back that silvery plated look that it's not chrome, but it's got that electrical component look to them. So here's where I'm at now. Hold on. All right, well, here's what I'm messing with right now. Got a couple of, here's a horn relay, and here's a starter relay, right? These are looking pretty funky. They don't look like they should. This one, I don't know if it's a factory one or a replacement one at one point, but it's got a kind of a gold finish to it. This one is just rusty. So what I did was I had a couple spares, obviously. Don't we all, right? I took them apart. It was pretty simple to just kind of peel these pins back or undo these crimps on the horn relay and remove the innards. So these would be pretty easy to clean. This starter relay, I probably won't use this coil. It's a little warped. It's a little bit of corrosion under there, so I probably won't use that one. I'll probably use this one. Horn, that's pretty good, pretty straightforward. Everything's nice inside, no corrosion, no rust, nothing. So this is good. So what I'm doing is I'm making quick electrolysis rust removal system. Got my battery charger on the 6-volt setting, pretty low. Got the positive connected to my sacrificial piece of metal, just a old metal steel rod, regular steel, not stainless. A couple alligator clips onto the casings for the other two relays. That's connected to the negative. Let that sit for a while in my electrolysis solution, which is simply water and baking soda. Now, while we're waiting for the electrolysis process to finish cleaning these components, and it's cooking along a little bit, it's going to take a while. It might take a few hours, it might take a few days. We don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, step one in the process, and this is an optional step, is copper plating. Same process, it's electroplating, and you need to make yourself a solution. And copper sometimes is like the first step before you do nickel. If it's a metal that's tough to plate for whatever reason, like some of these casings of these electrical components already came with a bit of coating on them. If it all doesn't come off, you're going to want to do a little bit of a copper plate first. Like this may be hard to get off. Files, grinders, whatever, it'll get it off, but it takes time. But this will give it a quick plating first, and then we'll do the nickel plating. Now, all right, well, I'm going to start doing a little copper plating on these pieces, and you can see I've already done this star washer that goes on the starter relay. This didn't take long. I'm using just a 9-volt battery, but I'm going to do this piece here next. Now, our solution, you can see we made it yesterday, and it's a nice kind of a nice medium blue color. Perfect solution for doing the copper plating. Again, I got a little copper anode there, going to the positive on the battery, and I'm going to connect that to the negative and kind of swirl it around in there a little at a time till it comes out copper looking. That's going to be the first step to put the nickel on. We want it to have a nice good coating, and the reason why I'm doing is these parts were coated previously at the factory, and it has since corroded, flaked off. this will give us a better adhesion of the nickel to the copper. That's why it's kind of a first step. So we'll see how it goes, and if it looks good, I'm going to do the horn relay case. All right, well, I've made my nickel plating solution here with a couple pieces of pure nickel, and I'm going to leave links to the instructables that I followed on how to make the solutions and how to do this, so you guys can follow along. I'm not going to bore you with the details on how to do that. You can read up on it. Very simple. So when it comes to actually doing the plating, I'm using just a 9-volt battery, and I've already done these pieces here with a little bit of the copper plating, which is our nice blue solution. This is the nickel, and it's kind of a green solution. Now, I've done that nut here already, and this part of the starter relay, in the case of the, not that one, the case of the horn relay. Now, these were already plated previously at the factory, and you can kind of tell because some of the areas took the copper on this better than others. So I'm guessing there's still plating that didn't get completely corroded away on this case. Same thing with the nut. See how it took the copper very well? But on this side, still a little silvery, so I'm guessing that's kind of part of the plating that didn't get corroded away. And same with this, you can see underneath where the screw would be covered up on the bracket there, still pretty silvery. In this, I didn't clean the water off of it as well as I should have when I pulled it out of the solution, so it's got a little bit of an oxidation on it. But I'm gonna plate it nickel anyway, just like that. I've already started on the star washer, and you can see I've done half of it. This did get copper plated, and you can see I've only dunked half of this in the solution. And you can see the difference already. I'm just gonna put her in. You can see the bubbles start happening, so you know there's the process is going on. The closer I move it to the anode, to the positive side, the more bubbles you are. Or if I move it away, not so much. So I'm trying to keep it closer. Don't touch. I'm just going to let it go for a while more, and then I'm going to rotate that around and continue plating. All right, skipped ahead here a little bit because you know, this has been a little trial and error to see how well this is going to work. I went ahead and finished up the horn relay case. Now, this one, admittedly, what I ended up doing was I had done a copper plate and then nickel plate, and it got really dark. So I ended up sanding it down, starting over again, copper and then nickel plate. And it got a little darker again as time went on. And I ended up buffing this out with a little brasso to kind of polish the nickel plate. Not bad, not great. You can still see some of the copper showing through there. Finished cleaning up the starter relay case. Came out pretty nice. I did not copper plate this first. I went straight into the nickel, and I think I got a better coating this way on this larger piece than if I had done the copper then the nickel. So I think that may be the way to go for bigger pieces. I could have spent a little more time cleaning up some of these little pits to get a smoother finish, but I'm okay with it. Polished it up with a little brasso. I'm liking it. Show the smaller pieces here. The washer, the nut, and the bracket there, that all come out pretty good. So I'm happy with it. These components are now protected and ready to go. All right, well, I've been experimenting a little bit with this stuff, and this is the other horn relay that I had. If you remember from earlier in the video, it was really rusty and crusty. So this spent a little time in the electrolysis tank, about a day or so, on and off, cleaning it up, changed the solution, and I got it looking pretty good. It was a little pitted, so I decided to plate it anyway, and then I didn't like it because it was still too pitted. You can see on the inside here, it was rusty. It did take the plating in a few spots. I'm going to clean this up a little bit more, on the inside. Focus. All right. But I didn't like how it looked on the outside because, of course, as with anything, preparation is the key. So I went through and sanded it down, got as many of the pits out as I possibly can. Use a little 400 grit on there. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's just not. But it's going to look nice, which is kind of the goal. Reusing the original part number off this car. So this is actually sanded down and polished. And by polished, I mean I polished it on a buffing wheel to try and get it as smooth and as clean as possible. Will these scratches show up? Yes. Will these pits show up? Yes. But from a distance, it's still going to look nice and shiny. So there's two options I could do here. I could continue to polish and get it as shiny as possible, then clear coat it. Or I could give it a little nickel coating, which is what I'm going to do. Because if it looks bad with the nickel coating, well, back to the sandpaper, and then we'll go with the polishing round. I really want to just take this all the way to the next level and just see how well this works on the bigger parts. Don't know if you can tell or not, but this is after plating. And I think it looks great. I mean, like I said before, you're going to see some of the scratches and some of the pit marks, but this looks pretty good. Now this is after plating it, and then I took it out, cleaned it up, gave it a quick polish with some Brasso, cleaned it again, plated it again, and then again, a little more polishing. I think this is going to look great. Now the difference between that one I just did and this one is the voltage. Now this one I had done a couple times, experimented with, and I did it with the battery charger on 6 volt 4 amp, which may be a little high for doing this. I also did it with a 9 volt battery, which also may be a little high. So I went down and I have a little deal here. I put in 4 AA batteries, giving me 6 volts. The lower the voltage, and this is what the Instructable said, gives you a better shine when you do this plating. And this worked out brilliantly. I love it. This is going to be a real Bobby Dazzler. Oh, there you have it. Done playing Mad Scientist. Something that I've always wanted to try. I think it worked out well. I like the electrolysis. Got the rust off of the parts really nicely. Gave me a nice clean surface to start with on the plating. I think I'm going to skip doing the copper plating on some of these smaller parts. I don't think it's a necessary step. Going right to the nickel plating worked well. Especially on the smaller parts, the star washer, the nut, the hold down clamp on the starter relay, that worked out really well. On the other relay, I think I showed this to you, I might not have. On the inside, this was really rusty. Well, I was able to take this apart and clean up all the rust on the inside of this, the lug here for the starter relay. Plated those. This is back together. This is going to be another functional starter relay to have in my as a spare. And doing the case, this worked out really well. Again, using the lower voltages, a smaller battery, you're going to get a more brilliant finish. That's about it. I just got to clean the terminals up on this one. Now I had yet another horn relay to put back on the car. I'm going to put the links to the Instructables that I followed in the comments down below, and that's it. Thanks for watching.